modern data science tools for research. The reason I decided to uh, talk about this today is because um, the data space is evolving, right? Back then, we used to use things like Minitab, SPSS, Tora. Those are still in use in the research space. Very important. Those tools are foundational tools that really helped a lot, and they are still helping till date. You cannot debate that. But there are some tools which we knew back then, but nowadays they are taking a lot in the data analytics sector. And that's why I decided to go through. And we're going to look at three of them. And the last one is a tool that is a combination of several tools that we built. It's quite simple and it's free, that I think is useful. We built it a couple of weeks back. So let's get straight into it. This is a very popular tool. And the reason why I'm talking about this tool is you cannot talk about data in 2024 and not mention Python. Before you could mention R, right? If you wanted to do some kind of analysis, but all of a sudden, Python is here and it's versatile. It does a lot. This is the go-to tool. The way people used to go and learn C# back then, this is what people are learning nowadays because it's really versatile. Top companies today are leveraging Python. For example, Netflix. Netflix, that's one of the tools they use. Lots of platforms today are using Python. And it's versatile, like I mentioned. And that's why we are looking at it today, because we are looking at data collection. Now, as a researcher, you cannot start researching anything without data, right? You would read articles, you will understand, but as a researcher, you need data to do whatever it is you need to do. And there should be a pie chart here. There's a research online that it's a given. Most of the data we have today is on the internet, right? People want to write books. Yes, there are still hard copy books, but you have more e-copies. You cannot write a hard copy book without putting it on Amazon for people to go buy. So on the internet, you have lots of data, right? So how do we collect this data? One of the easiest tools to use is Python. And I'm looking at one of the easiest packages today, which is Beautiful Soup. We have Selenium, we have a lot of other packages in Python that can also help with web scraping. But Python libraries are incredibly useful for collecting research data because they offer robust tools for web scraping, data processing, storage, and analysis, all of which are essential for efficiently gathering and organizing information from diverse resources. Like I mentioned, we're looking at Beautiful Soup. What Beautiful Soup does, right, is it passes. By pass, I mean breakdown. The internet today is like a script, it's like a document, but that document is called, the language used on it, the same way we would write English on a paper, on an A4 paper, is the hypertext markup language, right? It makes up CSS, it's a lot. So this Beautiful Soup helps break down that document, right? HTML, XML documents in such a way that researchers can scrape data to web pages and from web pages, because that's where we have a lot of data. For example, you want to carry out research on people's sentiments online. One of the ways to get data is through Twitter, right? There are lots of packages that allow this to happen, that will give you the data in an organized format because there are APIs for you to consume. But imagine you didn't have an API to consume and you're just scraping from a website itself. You will need things like Beautiful Soup. We're going to see what a script looks like, right? We're going to see what a script looks like with Beautiful Soup, and I'm going to walk us through this. Yes, so this is this is Beautiful Soup. Very simple. See the lines of code. We are scraping this website. We are scraping this website. And we're only scraping the first page. If you want to scrape other pages, you can log in. They will even have an API that's paid for. That's how some businesses make money today too. So we are scraping this website, right? Getting it into a format where you can either visualize or do, let's say you want to determine from all these quotes, which movies or which authors rather had positive sentiment with regards to their books or their thinking or their quotes rather. Once you scrape this data, You can use other packages in Python to determine the sentiment. And that is something that is nice to add to your portfolio, right? Now, this is a simple script that scrapes data from this website, So first of all, as Python works, this is very simple. I know a lot of people are already used to Python. We'll still do other things during this workshop around Python when we get to the stats model bit of things. But this is just for web scraping to show you how diverse Python is. You import your requests. You import a particular library that you need from this package. You import pandas as PD, straightforward. This is the URL you want to scrape from. Python is nice because it's object oriented. You just store it in an object. URL here is the object. For other tools, the way you define objects are different. For example, arrow, you won't use the equal to sign. You use the less than and the hyphen sign to label an object in R. So for Python, you get the response from this URL, basically saying response.get. You get the response from this URL, straightforward. You understand? Then if the response, for those that are familiar with the web development space, that have dabbled a bit in web development, when a status code gives you 200, it means it's fine, right? That's what this means. Python is checking. So you can read that, but the codes are here. We'll share all this for you to go through this later. But at the end of the day, you get all you need to scrape. But you would notice that after scraping, we just have data from the first page. If you check here, A Day Without Sunshine is Like You. Who is the author? Steve Martin. If you come here on this website, A Day Without Sunshine is Like You by Steve Martin. Now, this is one thing that people should take note of when scraping data, right? You have to write, and thank God for the advent of modern tools. If you have the foundation in Python, you can look through these pages. When you look through these pages, you get it in this format, and then you can write this particular data to a spreadsheet. And once you write it to a spreadsheet, Google Sheets, you can use data from there to do your research, to do your analysis, to get insights from whatever data that you've gotten from the net. So from Python, there are packages in Python. Python is so diverse. You can push data from here to Google Spreadsheet, and then from Google Spreadsheet, you get your data into whatever tool you want to use to get inside, or you want to do the analysis on your own with whatever tool that you're comfortable with. So with regards to data collection, for those in the beginner space, in the beginner's level, you can always leverage Beautiful Soup to start doing your research. Just think about whatever it is that you want to research, right? And then you scrape the data and you put it on a spreadsheet. But there's something that we need to take note of. There's something we need to take note of before we scrape. And that is, there are some implications that we need to take note of. For example, there are platforms, if you want to scrape jobs, right? You can scrape from platforms like Indeed and other platforms, but they have legal and ethical implications. Whatever product you build, whatever analysis you do, from scraping data from certain sites, you need to read their terms of service, right? So you don't get yourself in trouble. Because if you use data scraped from certain sources, it can come back and bite you in the ass, right? So you need to consider this. Very important. Legal and ethical implications. Then website stability and access frequency. Some platforms allow you to call their API. By API is just basically them exposing their data for other people to use. Some companies would want you to pay before you access that data, while some companies would allow it, would release it, would make it free. So some companies that make it free, it's always good to be polite. A company that tells you, okay, you can access this API X amount of times in a day, X amount of times in a week, please be polite. Don't go calling their API, pulling their data, because it can result to problems for you. You won't even be able to call the API again. They will blacklist you, things like that, right? Another thing that we need to consider is data accuracy. Websites change their content a lot. If they don't change their content, they will change their CSS, they will change the website, the way it's being structured, right? They will change it. They will change a lot of things. When they change it, you need to also ensure that you are still pulling the right data, because if you are scraping data from a site that the content has changed, maybe due to new information, right? It's also not good. So these are the things to consider before using web scraping libraries in Python to get data for research. I mentioned it too earlier. You've gotten your data. You want to do analysis on your data. Remember, where you store your data is important, depending on where you are as a business or as an individual. If you store your data on a spreadsheet, it's easy, it's fine. You can put it on Google Drive, and you can call that Google Drive in Python and do whatever analysis you want to do. But when your data gets to levels like petabytes, levels that spreadsheet can't handle anymore, you need to ensure you store them in databases, data warehouses, or data lakes, which is what I mentioned earlier. Now, let's assume you are a top business. You're a large scale business, right? You're out there, you're one of the big boys, and you have data. You use several platforms. You have data stored in a data warehouse, not on spreadsheets this time around. And you want to do certain sophisticated research, right? Certain sophisticated analysis. One tool that you can leverage is ThoughtSpot. And I'm displaying this Gartner's chart on the right because this chart comes out yearly, and it tells everyone where where data analytics tools in terms of visualization, metric calculations, and things like that where they are on the chart. And I'm looking at ThoughtSpot because ThoughtSpot is an emerging leader, right? Obviously, everybody uses Power BI. That's why it's here. It's obviously a leader, and it means the market. Well, it's obviously a leader. Then there's Tableau. People know Tableau. Then there's Click. There's Google Data Studio, Oracle, and then we have ThoughtSpot. In the past 2-3 years, ThoughtSpot has been emerging, right? It's coming up. It's now a leader. That means it's one of the tools that people should take into consideration. I think this is the most recent chart, but comes out every year. I'll confirm this. But ThoughtSpot is a tool that people should also have in sight. Now, ThoughtSpot is the AI-powered analytics platform that enables or empowers everyone to ask any data question in natural language and get accurate answers. Now, for Power BI, you will need to write DAX. In ThoughtSpot, you'll write some formulas too. But for Power BI, before an individual can get insight from the data, you need to calculate the metrics. It's not self-serve. And by self-serve, I mean the CMO, or the chief operating officer, or anybody in the business can go into the platform and write it, and just in 3 clicks has a visualization, or can ask question in natural language and have insights and visualizations generated, right? That's ThoughtSpot. Now, before we go into ThoughtSpot, I want to now, like I mentioned, self-service analytics and easy to use, AI-powered insights, real-time data exploration and integration. Very true. You can integrate ThoughtSpot with data warehouses like Snowflake, right? Use the same queries. After generating a calculation in ThoughtSpot, you can use that same query on Snowflake and you still get your data. And if you want to learn ThoughtSpot, this is the link. This is the link. We'll look at it shortly. But before we look at it shortly, I want to show something. Is it here? Aha, it's here. It's here. Let's just give it a few seconds to come up. I want to show how we can easily leverage ThoughtSpot. This is just a practice session. Aha. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes.
All right. Nice one. Thanks, David. All right, cool. So let's assume we've gotten our data from different sources, right? Different warehouses. and want to answer questions. These are all our fields, right? Measures. Oh, nice. Yeah, Maxon, it's nice. It's it's easier in terms of getting feedback, right? For Power BI, I would have to go write the DAX, but this can be real quick. This can be real quick, which is a value to businesses, right? Getting insights faster, right? So these are measures. Measures are these are calculations you carry out. ThoughtSpot, they have their own formula which you can use. It's quite straightforward. Arithmetics, their support system is quick. If you ask a question now, they will reach out to you. You can work on a formula together. So these are measures. Measures are basically formulas that you've calculated, and these are attributes. Attributes are from your table. It tells you an individual city, county, item, latitude, longitude, product. It tells you whatever it is you need to know about an individual. Yeah, yeah. So and it also has like date features. It just separates it for you. You know which is your date, you know which is your feed your attributes, you know the ones that are for your measures, the ones you have to measure, your calculations basically. And you have sets and you can set parameters. Nice. So people don't have to do things over and over again. So let's assume we want to answer a question. You've connected your data and you're the chief marketing officer or whatever role you play in the company. You don't need to call somebody to write formula for you. All right. You can just come here and say, it gives you prompts, easy prompts. Let me just use top product sales. Sales is a measure now, which means it's numbers, it's arithmetic, it's you can add it, you can subtract it, integers, you can do things to it. Product, and you want to look at the top 10. And this is what you have, right? Anybody can answer it as long as you know what you want to answer and the data has been loaded by a data engineer, it has been cleaned, it has been properly structured, which will happen on the database data warehouse level, right? You can drill down, you can look at, do you want to see the travel duffel by city? It gives it to you. You can change the visualization here to whatever visualization you need. You can set a regression line. You can add labels if this were to be over time, right? You can look at the SQL query. This is the SQL query. This is what I was talking about. You can use this query in your data warehouse, right? You can use this query, modify it in your data warehouse. That's why it's integration. That's one of the last benefits I mentioned. You can use this in your data warehouse. Snowflake. Yeah, I say Snowflake confidently. Other data warehouse I'll need to check, but for Snowflake, this works, which most businesses leverage today. So yeah, this is one of the benefits of using ThoughtSpot. It's real quick, right? It's real quick. One of the benefits. And if you want to learn ThoughtSpot, and you want to get certified, although this will be shared, but we can learn ThoughtSpot. They have their own university. It's called ThoughtSpot University, right? This is free. 36 minutes. You understand models, and this is enough to get you to start using ThoughtSpot for research or start using ThoughtSpot for analysis, whatever it is you want to do, real quick. This is free, so you can leverage this after this program. So that's ThoughtSpot, right? Earlier we spoke about Beautiful Soup, which is the easiest way to scrape data online. Please note that not all platforms are easy to scrape. Some platforms you need to understand how they are being structured. You need to go through the HTML and the CSS of what your website looks like, right? To know how you're going to pull data from it. But Beautiful Soup is one of the easiest. If a website is just real plain and simple, you can pull data from it with Beautiful Soup. And then we've looked at ThoughtSpot, right? One of the emerging tools on the Gartner's chart. You can see other tools that are challengers, other tools that are niche players, are just playing in that space. Then we have visionaries, right? People are taking things to the next level. IBM is taking things to the next level. There are lots of platforms they are working on currently, especially in the healthcare sector. So yeah, that's Dotspot. You can check it out, which is one of the reasons why we're going through this workshop, right? To get people into tools like this. Um, yes, another tool is a predictive analytics tool. Most of the research that we carry out today doesn't always have to deal with data that has been collected in the past. We can also do research and carry out predictions, which is one of the things that statistics helps us to understand on the most basic level. Everybody knows a regression model. Y is equals to A plus BX plus E, the error term. We have, it gets to the polynomial level, it gets to different levels. So there are lots of predictive models nowadays. And thank God to the advent of technology. Yeah, thanks, Karat. Appreciate. Yeah, yeah. With the advent of technology, there are lots of tools that have been developed, lots of models. Right now, you can as well work on your own predictive model, but it will be difficult to challenge the models that GPT, OpenAI, all these platforms are releasing because their own models that they're building has been trained on data, right? So it's always good to work off what is available. But most platforms today are leveraging what GPT has done because that has been backed up, like I mentioned, with a lot of data, diverse data. And one tool that is really moving things, helping businesses take informed decisions, not just predicting fancy numbers. Oh, this is the mathematics behind it. Oh, this is the no, but helping businesses really, really, really get value from the theoretic, from the research, right? From what people have been doing over the years, right? And that's what led to GPT, and that's what made people build that tool, and people are now leveraging that tool. So this tool called Pecan AI is a predictive analytics tool. Um, would watch a video. I'd have loved to demo this, but would watch a video instead, a YouTube video for few minutes. I think about 2 minutes. But before we watch it, I'm going to walk through this. It's okay, 6 steps, but the third and the fourth step is like an iterative process, and I will explain that. That's why you have this here. Now, if you're a researcher and you want to answer, and we'll look at use cases after this. I'll speak about use cases for like about a minute. But if you want to answer a research question right now, Pecan AI allows you, that's what you have here. The same way you interact with ChatGPT, the same way you have here. Hi, I'm your assistant. What would you like to predict? You can ask Pecan AI. You can ask, it has an interface there for asking questions. And the kind of questions you can ask are predictive questions. Questions like, oh, I would like to know if, I would like to research and predict uh, if this particular set of patients would develop cancer in the next 2 years, would develop brain cancer in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, based off data that you have. That kind of research, you can ask Pecan AI as long as you have the data. Now, after you've asked Pecan AI the data, Pecan AI needs data, right? Like I mentioned earlier, you cannot start any research, you cannot do anything data related without data. It's information. Now, this is Postgre, where you see this elephant. That means data has been stored there. Postgre is a way to interact with a database, right? It has its own UI, it has its own GUI, its own interface. You interact with databases, interact with servers. We have CSV. You can pull in data from CSV. If you are storing data in Snowflake, you can pull in data from Snowflake. You can pull in data from different sectors, from different platforms, rather. That's why we have connect/upload your data. Now, when you've uploaded your data can come from different platforms. It can come from Salesforce, it can come from customer.io, it can come from Hodl CC, it can come from different platforms, right? Once you've connected to your data, you can now ask questions about your data. In the research space, if you have your data stored on other platforms too, you can connect to it and ask your research question to that data. After you've asked your research question, right, you would have a predictive notebook, the way you have Jupyter Notebook. And maybe during our breakout session, I might find a way and we'll just demo this real quick and see how it goes. But you will have your Jupyter Notebook. Your Jupyter Notebook, the same way you have it on Python, the same way you have this here. You just have it, the same thing. They only renamed it. They only renamed it NUTBOOK instead of NOTE. That's notebook. It still comes out with Python language. You can write your whatever it is you need to write. You can write your SQL there. It gives you the notebook there. You can tweak the data. If you are not comfortable with a particular feature and you are strong with your SQL, you can group that feature. You can engineer more features, but you write your query here. But without you writing your query, Pecan AI would automatically write queries for you once you define your predictive question. 60 to 70% of the time, I have not had to write any query. The query it wrote was up to par. Now, after writing the query, it gives you predictions. It gives you a model rather, and it tells you about the model. It tells you how your model performs. It tells you which feature is the most important feature. It tells you features that you should look at, features that may cause data leakage. And by data leakage, is something that anybody that wants to get into the predictive analytics space needs to take note of, right? It's basically training a machine learning model on data that will bias how it predicts, right? Imagine training a model that is to predict people that are going to pay their loans with a field that tells you the date that they paid their loans. If you do that, the model will automatically know that, oh, this person has already paid, and would flag the person as yes, and then it will bias how that model actually works. So that's another thing that people should take note of. And Pecan AI will help you detect these fields that, oh, this field might cause data leakage. So you go back and you research on that field to have a model that will actually work. And when you get that model working, you get your predictions. When you get your predictions, you can push those predictions to any platform that you want to push it into. That's what Pecan AI does, right? If I'm not able to share or do the demo during the breakout session today, you can drop your emails. We'll walk through it, a very brief session. We'll see this, we'll log into a platform, write our predictive questions. If you have a CSV, we'll do it. But for now, we're going to move into the next part, which is watching the demo of how somebody did this, because it's always good to let's see. No wonder. Supposed to be a link here. Yeah, that's supposed to be a link. All right, but let's watch this.
So please, there's no audio on the video.
Oh, tell me, thanks. I think I saw that now. But can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
That's weird. Okay. That's weird. Tell me, can you try playing this video from your end? I'll send the link to you now.
All right.
It's weird. Let's see if that works. Wow, that's weird. Let me check this. Then I think the same thing from your end, except you. Yeah, tell me that's fine. Don't worry. We can. Yeah, so I just shared the link. I just shared the link, guys, on the chat right now. So yeah, we can watch. We can watch it at our own time. Then whoever wants to, like I mentioned, after watching the video, if you want to have the demo one-on-one, can always reach out. Yeah, can always reach out. So we keep to the allotted time. All right. Yeah, so we keep to the allotted time. All right, perfect. So once you watch that video, you'll see what I meant. It's really, he did a good job, right? Writing the questions. He talked about how it generates to a Jupyter notebook, right? So we'll see that. So like I mentioned, we'll look at the use cases. So Pecan AI can predict patient outcomes, disease likelihood. It can tell you the probability uh, of someone developing a particular disease, support in research, preventive care and resource allocation. So many use cases, financial research. It can help forecast market trends, loan defaults, investment risks. It can help with understanding your marketing and consumer behavior. You can use it to predict customer churn. You can use it to segment audiences. You can use it to also calculate metrics like lifetime value, right? Predict metrics like lifetime value. If you want to predict what's the lifetime value, how much will this customer give me in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year? If it tells you, then you can determine how much of a priority that customer will be. If you're going to send the customer some perks, if you're going to send the customer some coupons to keep the customer happy with the service you have, because you've calculated that the lifetime value, the money you will get from this particular customer is going to outweigh whatever perks or whatever coupon or whatever it is that you give to the customer or to the client, right? So this is how Pecan AI can help businesses take decisions, help them cut costs, help them make more money, which is the goal of every business, right? Yes. So that's the three tools I have. The final tool is a tool that is free. The first tool is free. We all know Python is free, right? The second tool, ThoughtSpot, is not free. You would have to pay to leverage it the same way you pay for Power BI, but there are free packages to it though. The third tool, Pecan AI, is not free. But there's a particular tool that we developed, and it's quite simple. We did this using Python and other products out there. And it's the data profiler. Very simple. A couple of, I think, a month or 2 months ago. This is hosted for free. This doesn't cost anything. What this does, right? You can get this on our website. If you want to, um, if you want to analyze data, if you've collected your data, right? It will take you some time to determine the type of analysis to carry out, because there are some types of analysis that cannot be carried out on certain fields. For example, you cannot carry out for the most okay, for the easiest, you cannot carry out oh, all right, I will share. You cannot carry out time series analysis on a categorical field. You cannot carry out normal distribution. You cannot test if a particular field, or a particular variable, or a particular attribute is normally distributed on a categorical field. That will not work. But imagine you have 20 fields or 30 fields. Imagine going through each of them. Some fields like age, sometimes you would think it's continuous, you would think it's categorical, right? But sometimes it will take you a lot of time to go through those fields. So what we've done here is quite simple. What we've done here is quite simple. Let's say you have data, right? And this is, there are lots of data here. Let me see. Which should be leveraged. All right. All right. Let's do this. Let's use this. No. Mhm. All right. So I wanted to show this because you can upload your data. When you upload your data, what this comprehensive data profiler does, right? And it will have more we'll add more to it. But for now, this tool will help you, right? This is the data that has been read in. You can see this just shows the first 20 features. It tells you the people that responded, it tells you their emails, it tells you different things about them, right? So imagine you collect data from the field, survey data, right? And you want to understand your data real quick. You don't want to eyeball it by looking and thinking, oh, is this a categorical field? What field is this? La, 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 things like that. No, you can upload your data here, but there's a limit. There's a limit of 200 megabytes per file. That's why it's free, right? So you can tell you, see, which field is categorical and things like that, which field is continuous. It will tell you, depending on how the data was collected. Because if you collect data and you set the data collection, that's where data validation comes in. If you're collecting data, you should set that field to collect the data type that you want it to collect, so that when you are analyzing it, it tells you what you need to tell it, and you don't need to write extra code to convert it. It tells you if there's missing value. So you know the particular fields that, oh, I need to go clean this, or I need to carry out techniques that will help me replace these missing values, if it will affect the result from my research or my analysis or not. It tells you the fields with the unique values, right? It gives you a summary statistics, right? Depending on how that field was formatted from when it was collected. It tells you the cardinality of the fields. It gives you a correlation metrics for the fields that that can happen for, right? You cannot carry out correlation metrics on some certain type of data types. It checks for outlier detections. You can also help plot histograms. Uh, it can check if rows are duplicated. No row is duplicated. It can check for the memory usage. Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you. I did not know I was not sharing. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I was talking about a data profiling tool. Now, it's one of the tools that we developed, and it's a free tool, right? Thank you. Thank you. And it's a free tool, right? It's a free tool. Like I was talking about when I wasn't sharing my screen, you may want to profile your data before you use it for research or for analysis. And this tool makes it easy, but it's a free tool and it has a limit of 200 megabytes, right? You can upload data. You can upload data. Let me see. This is what I was using before. You can upload data to it. When you upload your data, right, it tells you about what you are analyzing. For example, this is a data of population, male population under this amount of years. It tells you, it can profile your data, tell you which field is categorical, because before you carry out some analysis, you may need to know which field is categorical or continuous, because that would inform the kind of analysis you carry out. You look at if any field contains missing value. You can also check if you can also check the unique values in each field. You can have your summary statistics. It tells you the mean, standard deviation, tells you all this. You want to know about your data, basically describe your data, descriptive. Um, it tells you about the cardinality of columns. You also have your correlation metrics to tell you how fields are related to each other. You can also get outlier detections, fields that are outliers. Then you can also have histograms of the fields, all the continuous fields. It's a free tool. It's part of what we do. So we develop free tools as Ankali, tools that people can leverage in the data space. And this is one of them. This is our own tool. It's a data profiler. You can find it on our page. You can find it on our page. When you come here, you come to portfolio, you see what a couple of people that have been the dashboards that they built. You see some analysis that we've done around this. Most are Power BI. There's some easy. Then this is the data profiler. You have your CRM template. This is a spreadsheet, an automated spreadsheet. This is a data profiler. This is the one we are looking at right now. So when you click on this, it takes you here. And then you do exactly what I'm doing here right now. You just upload your data. You just upload your data and you get all this. So yeah. This is the histogram. You can close the histogram. You can check for duplicate rows, no duplicate rows. You can check for the memory usage. It tells you what each field is using. You can check if you can carry out time series analysis. Because there's no date time field, right? You won't have a time series analysis because there's no date time field. But if there were to be a date time field on this particular sheet that was uploaded, you would have seen a graph over time. You can ask a question. Let's say we want to ask a question of the sheet that we updated. Yeah, we can, we can, we can. Definitely. Great question. Definitely. Let's assume we want to ask a question about our data, right? Let me see. Let me see. And let's say we want to ask, please, some. Okay, let me change this because it's black and people might not see what I'm typing. So you can change it to light, right? And you can say, please sum the total Or please, what is the sum of the total population? And you send the question. You'll get a response. It's comprehensive data profiler. It's called a comprehensive data profiler. Yeah. So based on this question we asked, this is our AI bot response. Sums everything. Therefore, the total of the population in the data set is this. So it's free, like I mentioned. Anybody can access this. It can help you out. But there's a limitation to it. And it's something that is still in the works, but it's a free tool, right, for the data community to benefit from. Right. So yes, that's why I said I was going to share 3 to 4 tools. So these are the tools. Thanks, Karat. Thank you. Thanks. So yeah, these are the tools that we just intended to show. We intend to continue showing tools like this, right? Tools that would also enhance and help people benefit, help people get insights, help people leverage mathematics, statistics, help it to inform businesses, help it to improve the community, help it to improve us in general, right? These kind of tools are the tools that we'll be putting out. And yeah, that's what we have. That's what we have. That's what we have. Yes, comprehensive data profiler. You're right. Okay. Other questions? Other questions before we take a break? Thanks, man. Before we take a break, and then we'll move into the next session. We'll move into the next session. Cool. Yeah, if anyone has a question. Oh, thanks, Karat. Thanks. You can reach out. Just check it out on LinkedIn. You can follow us on LinkedIn. Share text. Just Google Hankali Intel. Yeah. Thanks, Tomisen. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. I like this. Tell me, please, unmute Chukwemeka. He has a question. Yeah. Can I custom distribution for cost analysis as a grad student? Okay. Unmute Chukwemeka so he asks his question.
Yeah, you can go now. Yeah.
Okay. Chukwemeka, why don't you come up with that? Let's see. Someone asked a question. How can I custom new distribution into predictive or cluster analysis as a grad student? How can I? Do you want to customize new distributions? Is that what you mean? Like the way we have Poisson distribution, or the way we have lots of distributions nowadays. The way we have binomial distribution. You have your own new distribution you want to customize into a predictive, or is that a question you're asking? Musadik. Perfect. Good. All right. Into a new distribution. Well, you would have to, for people to adopt that, it's going to take a lot of time, right? It's going to take a lot of research, but it's something that over time, right? Over time, working with data, ensuring or showing that this new distribution actually is something that can be adopted. Because before we all started adopting the normal distribution, is a distribution that people are confident about. Researchers, well-renowned researchers have been able to confirm that this distribution, right, it works. So over time, your new distribution, it's fine. It can be customized into a predictive, but it's something that will need to be tested over time. But yes, it can be done. That's no problem. It can be done. Does that answer you? Cool. All right, Chukwemeka, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, yeah. What's the difference between predictive analysis and predictive modeling? What's the difference?
Predictive modeling is, how do I explain this? Modeling is under analysis, right? So it can be an interchangeable term. You understand? If you are doing analysis, analytics, whether it's regression, whether you are predicting, you need a model under it, right? Before you even say you are doing any analysis. So that model is what is powering that analysis. Do you understand?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions? All right, perfect. If not, I'll hand it over to my partner Elvis, and we'll take it from here. All right, I'll share the link to the profile right now. Cheers, guys.